So here we are in the middle of another edition of Dear Love Talk. Why Dear Love Talk? That's how you start a letter. And we want you to get in touch with us, send us your questions, anything you have to ask about relationships.
Indeed, you don't even have to identify yourself. And all you need to do is to email us on questions@lovetalkshow.tv, or you can get in touch via Facebook or Instagram, Twitter, whatever you prefer.
So let's go for the first question. It says, hi, I dated someone for a couple of months and we got on really well. Then in an argument, I told him I didn't care about him and that I would go out with a different man on the same day. I said this just to hurt him, and even though I didn't mean it, he doesn't believe me and doesn't want to give me another chance. Well, here's the thing with talking without thinking, is that once you say something, you know, and we've said this here in Dear Love Talk before, but once you say something hurtful, you can say as many times as you want that you didn't mean it and that you're sorry, but what you said has already caused damage. It's like...
You cannot unsay it.
You can't unsay it. It's like taking a gun and then you shoot the person, but once the bullet leaves the gun, you can't say I'm sorry. You've already either killed the person or caused damage that will be seen for the rest of the person's life.
Indeed. So, especially if that person was betrayed in the past. That's a terrible thing to do. I mean.
Yeah. And I mean, I know that what I'm saying now doesn't solve the problem, and who knows, maybe this relationship has been damaged beyond repair. From what you said, it was a very recent relationship and you want it to work. Hopefully it will. But what we want this to show you is that we have to be very careful when emotions are running high, when we're upset about something. Sometimes it's best not to say anything than to say something you might regret.
Yeah, walk away and think about what you want to say, or don't say anything at all. And come back to that conversation later on, but be very careful with what you say. Now, what can you do? Your question may still be the same. What do I do? I've said it. What next? Well, you need to wait for him to digest what you said and accept your apologies, and you need to show through your actions that you are really sorry. And how do you do that? You've got to be patient and you've got to wait whatever time he needs to heal from what you said. Because sometimes, sorry, let me to interrupt you, sometimes that person opened up to you and said, oh, you know, I was betrayed, I have a history of, you know, always been betrayed, I don't know why, what's wrong with me? And then you like the person, you start dating the person, you kind of help the person with her low self-esteem and everything, and then suddenly you say something like this. Yeah. I'm not saying it's the case, but
also it's also important to remember that there is a chance that in this very new relationship that was in its infancy, that there might have been damage that you can't fix. And if that's the case, don't worry, because at least you've learned something. You've learned that if there is a disappointment, if there's a disagreement, that it has to be solved in a way that is not going to cause damage to the person or to you. So hopefully it will work out. But if it doesn't, at least the one positive thing is that you've learned of what you can't say, and that once you say something, you can't unsay it. Okay?
Indeed, indeed. And this question is from Jessica, and she asks, hi guys, what do you do when your husband is a pain in the neck? Okay. I have no patience with him. What do you advise me to do?
It's a very direct question.
Okay, Jessica, first of all, I don't know why you think or you feel that he's a pain in the neck, but I think you need to be grateful, first of all, that you have a husband, that you have someone in your life.
I agree with you. I think that's very important. Sorry, I had to do that because I think sometimes people...
It's true.
No, it's true. 100%.
I think you have to be grateful that you've got someone who loved you enough to honor you and ask you to marry him. That's an honor. At least that's how I see it.
And I did that. Do you know why, Elena? Sorry to cut in on you, because I don't know. I'm sorry, Jessica. I hope you don't get offended. But the way you've put your question is from someone who's very disrespectful. It sounds, if I say, look,
I'm going to get there.
Elena is a pain in the neck and I have no patience for her. You know, she may be someone, she has her flaws, but it's a very disrespectful way to speak, and that only makes us think how do you speak to him?
Yeah, I mean, just go back in time and think of the times that you were single and you wished to have someone that would love you and honor you and make you happy and fight for you and provide for you as a husband. So there's a lot there that you seem to have forgotten along the way. Now, let's talk about why he might be a pain in the neck. Maybe I'm sorry, I'm not having a go at you, please, it's not that, but maybe you need to see how you've been behaving as a wife. You're not single anymore. Maybe he's someone who is having to act like a father because you're not looking after the responsibilities you have within the marriage. I don't know if you have children, you haven't said anything about that, but I can only think of reasons why a husband would be a pain in the neck. Maybe because he's always reminding you of things, maybe because you've been neglectful of some of his needs. And maybe you don't know, you're crossing the line. Mm-hmm. Maybe you are a bit too friendly with the opposite sex. I don't know. We could be here until tomorrow.
Could be a million things.
But I think you need to talk to him about this, how you feel. Yeah.
The bottom line, Jessica, the only thing we can assess through your question is that you seem, usually a wife looks up to a husband. And a husband looks up to his wife. They both look up to each other.
They admire each other.
The question you asked is not a question from someone who looks up to someone. It's a question of someone who looks down at the person. You really look to hold him in very low regard. You seem to disregard him. And I think the way you pose your question says a lot about how your relationship is. And I think if you fix that, if you really try humbly to change the way you interact with him and you see him, that will do wonders for your relationship. Mm-hmm. And you may just be able to solve your problem right there just by admiring him, looking up to him, and in the way you talk about him, people can see how proud you are of having him as a husband. And that almost for sure will perhaps solve your problem.
Yeah, I mean, she's not talking about abuse. He's not abusive to her or anything. He's just been annoying in some way. Mm-hmm. So I think you need to value, again, what you have, because if you don't, someone else will. And then it's going to be too late.
That's the key.
Then it's going to be too late. Then you're going to be writing to us to ask us, how can I get my husband back? Yeah. I mean, you need to learn certain principles of being a wife. I think
what you said there is the key. If you don't value what you have, someone else will.
Yeah.
Now let's go for our next question. It says, I just found out that my wife has been having a relationship with someone else via WhatsApp. Even though she acknowledges this, she says she does not want to change and would like to stay with me and keep that relationship also. This is not what I want as a relationship. What do I do?
Where's the buzzer?
we don't have the buzzer. We don't have the table and the buzzer here
Seriously.
Today. But look, the first thing you need to do is you need to tell this person that this is not what you see as a relationship. This is not acceptable. What you're telling us here is that this person wants to stay with you and have a life, a home with you, and yet have a relationship with someone else, whether virtually or in person, I don't know. That sounds very odd to me, and that will only happen if you allow it to happen. What you have to do is you have to say to this person, listen, this is not going to roll. This is not going to happen, at least not with me. So you choose, either you want to be with me and you will be with me, faithful to me, or then you go on and stay with that person, but not both. Mm-hmm. You can't have your cake and eating it. You can't have two. It's not going to work. You're either going to please one or the other. You're even speechless,
aren't you? It's even hard to explain.
It's difficult.
Well, I have a question for you. How much are you worth? What's your worth? If you think that your worth is very small, then you're going to accept that. I'm sorry. But if you think that, you know what, I deserve better than this, because a relationship is about exclusivity. I'm not going to share my husband with anyone else, even if it's online or whatever, a line or whatever other way that technology will come up with in the future years to come. I'm not sharing. This is exclusivity. This is the two of us. We are one. We're not 3 or 4 or 5. Mm-hmm. So I think you need to look at yourself. I think the problem here is not even her, because you can clearly see that she has a problem. She doesn't know what a relationship is. She doesn't understand what a committed relationship is about. And she doesn't understand. So you need to be the one deciding for both of you.
Yeah.
By looking at yourself and deciding, hold on, do I really want this for my life? Am I going to build a life with a person like this?
Mm-hmm. And clearly, she is not moving to be with that person, and she's staying with you. So she wants both. So you have to be the one to say, listen, if you are not, are you staying, do you want to stay with that person? She says yes, then you say, okay, so then you're not going to have me. I'm going to move on because I deserve better than that. I deserve to have someone who wants me exclusively and I want her exclusively. So you have to be the one making that decision if she's not making the decision herself.
It sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Some people at home might be watching us and thinking, oh, is that for real? Well, you would be surprised. So this is just another example of how things are changing along the years. Mm-hmm. People are forgetting that marriage is a sacred thing, that to be in a relationship is a privilege, is something that you need to put a lot of work into that, but you were building something together. And you need to choose who you want to build something together with. And this is certainly not someone you want to build. This is the sand. You know, when you build a house upon the sand and the storm will come and will take everything away, this is the kind of person that will make your life go down anytime.
That's all we have time for today on Dear Love Talk. And if you want to send us your questions, please do so on questions@lovetalkshow.tv or via our Facebook page. Until next time, bye-bye.
Bye.